Hello, and welcome back to The Hills Are Alive, a movie musical podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Kelsey Jane.
And we're back to do the classic among high school theater programs and community theaters across the country.
I thought you were going to say the Midwest.
The farm country classic.
I don't know, is Oklahoma the West or the Midwest? Where is it?
Or I mean, people in Oklahoma have southern accents. Is it the South?
Well, they do in this musical.
Right. I think that they do.
I've never met a person from Oklahoma. That's a lie. I've met one person from Oklahoma, and she made me watch this movie.
I didn't know that Oklahomans were that proud of this musical. I would think that.
Well, she was a Belmont musical theater person, so this really fit with her whole vibe.
Right. Okay. I get it.
This was her aesthetic.
I think that probably Oklahoma was considered the West during Western expansion, is frontier territory, right?
Sure. I don't know.
Who cares?
Fun fact, they filmed this whole movie actually in Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, they scoped out locations in Oklahoma, but there were too many oil rigs.
Oh, and that's
in the background, and they couldn't just modern. Digitally erase them out like you can today,
right, on
an iPhone. And
I think that most Westerns, they probably had places that most Westerns were filmed and stuff at the time in that area.
Yeah, and I think okay, so this is way off topic, but did you know that There Will Be Blood and Old Country for No Men?
No Country for Old Men.
Or yeah, what did I say?
Old Country for No Men.
Okay, I'm gonna start over.
No, it's funny. I think you should keep
Here's a fun fact. Did you know that
Blood Will Be There?
And Old Country for No Men. They were both filmed at the same time in Marfa, Texas.
Interesting. Yeah, because those came out the same year, right? They were.
Yeah, and sometimes the shoots would be competing against each other. One, I can't remember which one, but one of them had to move. They had to change their schedule because the other movie's production was in their shot. Interesting. Fun fact.
Cohen v. Anderson.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mr. Maya Rudolph.
Mr. Maya, yes. Maya Rudolph's husband?
Yes. Anyways, let's talk about Oklahoma.
With an exclamation point.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's very early 2000s indie of them.
Okay. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. There was a lot of exclamation points happening
you mean
at the time.
The Shins? They had some...
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Let's not go down this path. Oklahoma, directed by Fred Zinnemann. Only musical he ever did. Music by the famed Richard Rogers and Oscar Hammerstein II.
Book and lyrics by, yes, Oscar Hammerstein II.
So I love this movie mostly because of the music. I'm a Rogers and Hammerstein girl.
And this was their first collab.
Oh my gosh, and I love the music in this. I love it.
I do too.
The whole thing is so campy and ridiculous, but I love the music.
So this is my first time watching this, which is crazy to me, but we just, I don't know, it just wasn't part of the our family's, traditions. Mm-hmm. So it's my first time. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised with the more dark and adult moments.
Racier parts. Yeah, there's actually they actually toned it down a little bit from the stage version, but not much, because this movie musical follows the stage musical more closely than any other Rogers and Hammerstein adaptation.
Yeah.
They only changed two things. They took out two songs.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Ali Hakam's song. It's a scandal. It's an outrage. And it's a really fun song. So I'm bummed they cut that out.
Yeah.
And the other one is sung by Judd. And it gives you just like a little bit more insight as to like why he is such a bummer.
Yeah.
And it makes him like a little bit more of a scoundrel.
Okay.
Gives you a little bit more of his motivations, and they cut it because they thought that it was too dark
Why
for
he hates
audiences.
women so much?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, because it's like it's pretty closely after they sing Poor Judd is Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
weird song.
It was a lot more like sexual
It's very
innuendos
sexual.
than
Like the churning of the butter.
I don't know why this made me think of that. Made me think of that scene in Moby Dick where they're squeezing the
What?
sperm.
What?
Nothing.
I did not read that book, and if I had, that wouldn't have been my takeaway.
So, I mean, do you want to know my letter grade?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have a guess?
Is it OKLAHOMA?
I would say B plus.
Okay, I think that's fair. Yeah.
What are you? I know it's one of your favorites. So.
Well, it is, and there are things that I really don't like about it at the same time.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite scores, I guess I should say. I really, really like a lot of the songs in this. Like, People Will Say We're in Love is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I really like the song, Just a Girl Who Can't Say No, but not in this movie. It's atrocious in this movie. Like, oh, man.
So I actually did a Gloria Graham deep dive.
When you were researching Gloria Graham, did you learn about her stepson?
Yes. So this is actually, I wanted to do this because I have like researched this on my own just for no reason. Because I saw something, obviously everyone knows her from It's a Wonderful Life. Also, The Greatest Show on Earth was very big in my household growing up, and she was in that.
I don't know if I'd say obviously. I didn't know who she was.
Really?
No.
From It's a Wonderful Life. She's,
I mean,
Violet Bick.
when I read that, I was like, oh yeah, she was in that movie.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't have made that connection on my own.
Yeah. Well, so I had like, and then there was a biopic that was made of her starring Annette Bening. Just about like the end of her life and stuff. Anyway, yeah, I know about the stepson.
Okay, well, I mean, we need to tell people about the stepson.
Yes, she married her stepson.
She was the first Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. She marries this guy. Let me scroll down. The details are really complicated.
They are. It's the son of her second husband, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the actress who plays Ado Annie.
Yes.
Getting animated with my hands. Okay. She plays Ado Annie, and this was her second husband, Nicholas Ray. Mm-hmm. When she married him, he was 37, she was 25. Mm-hmm. They had 2 kids together, 2 sons, and he had a son from a previous marriage.
Right.
Who, at the time of the marriage between the dad and Gloria Graham, I believe he was 9 years old.
Right.
When they divorced, or no, he may have been a little younger than that, but by the time they divorced, the son, Anthony or Tony, Ray was 11 years old. He would later go on to become Gloria Graham's 4th husband in 1970, I believe, when he is 23 years old and she's 37. So even younger than she was when she married his dad.
Yes. And his dad, Nicholas Ray, alleges that he walked in on them in bed together when his son was 13.
Right. Yeah. that she had been grooming him from a very young age. And this was brought up in a custody battle.
Right.
Or no, I don't know if I even read it that way. I read that it wasn't a custody battle with Nicholas Ray. I think it was a custody battle with another one of her husbands.
Yes.
He alleged that she was an unfit parent because of the whole Anthony situation.
Like, once this story hit the tabloids much later,
I mean, I don't think, at this point, no one will ever really know exactly what happened. But at the end of the day, she married her stepson.
Yes.
Like, there's just no way of making that okay.
Yes. And her final fling, who was also a much younger person, Peter Turner.
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah, almost 30. I think she was like 56 or 56 and he was 28 or something like that. But he says that he also became a biographer of hers and disputed that claim, saying that the story of Toni being underage when Graham began her sexual relationship with him is fiction.
Yeah, but the part about being his stepmother, fact.
Yes, that is fact.
Like, it's not so much the age when they got married, it's the fact that not that long ago, she had a very different role in his life.
Right. And it's also kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like an admission of guilt that they, like, ran away to Mexico to get married. I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, with that kind of wedding, like, there's no appropriate venue.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't have been better if they'd gotten married in a,
right,
in a church.
But then they had 2 children together as well.
Right, yeah, they did.
So.
She had a lot of kids.
Yes, she did.
I think, didn't she have, I can't remember.
Yeah, she had kids.
I want to say 4 from 4.
Yeah. So from 1979 to 1981, she had a relationship with Peter Turner, who I had talked about, who authored a book called Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, which was eventually made into a movie starring Annette Bening and, what's his name from Billy Elliot? Jamie
Bell.
Jamie Bell, yes. So the film alleges that their relationship began when she was 54 and he was 26. In 1979, and she had breast cancer in 1974, 75, and had beaten it and gone into remission, but she never did the chemo or something to keep up with it, and so it came back much worse later, and she rekindled her relationship with him when she got sick again. And asked to basically convalesce at his parents' house in Liverpool.
That's so weird.
Right, because she I don't know, she thought that they were charming and not Hollywood.
She was probably older than his parents.
Yeah. So eventually he was, finally found out the extent of her illness. And tried to get her to go see doctors because she was just the whole time I'm gonna be fine, didn't want to get any treatment or anything. Finally got her to see a doctor in Liverpool, and then he convinced her to tell her family how sick she was. But then that kind of backfired, and her kids came to get her from Liverpool and bring her back to New York, which ended up being bad for her health. And when she arrived in New York, she immediately went to the hospital and died a few hours later.
On top of all of that, her performance in Oklahoma is really bad.
And this is the other thing, is that she was a discovery of a notable enemy of the podcast, Louis B. Mayer.
Wait, what's the deal with Louis B. Mayer?
He's the head of MGM. He discovered her on stage and signed her to MGM.
But wait, why is he an enemy of the podcast?
Because of the way he treated Judy Garland.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But so anyway,
that was numerous episodes ago.
She had a very low self-image, as many, golden age Hollywood actresses did.
Yeah.
And she basically stopped getting work because she had so much surgery. I mean, you notice in this movie, this was kind of...
and because she married her stepson.
Well, yes. But that wasn't until... I mean, it was this after this movie that she stopped getting work because she'd had so much stuff done to her.
I read that too. And you can see in this movie that her upper lip does not move.
Yeah.
And it changes the way that she speaks as well, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But if you take a look at her filmography, she still had a movie come out in 56, 57.
Yeah.
And I mean, the gap starts to get bigger between each film, as it goes on. But it wasn't like she became an immediate pariah. I don't know. I read the same thing, but when you look at her work, I think that's a little exaggerated.
Yeah. But, I mean, it is true that she had, like, nerve damage and paralysis from undergoing too many surgeries on her lip. And previous to the surgery, it said that she used to, like, stuff tissues up under her front lip to make it look more plump.
Man, in the days before Khloe Kardashian.
Right.
Or not Khloe.
Kylie.
Jenner.
Yeah, Kylie Jenner.
Not a Kardashian.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah, what are you going to do?
And they said that actors
stuff up your lips.
Actors found out about it during the kissing scenes.
That's so gross.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to hate on her too much, but it's hard not to.
She has a really tragic story, and I think
I really can't stand her in this movie. Like, I don't understand why they kept her in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange casting choice to begin with because she was always kind of this.
It was like a stunt cast.
Yeah, she was known in Hollywood for doing lots of like film noir and being like the broken, sexy seductress. All
right. Well, I'm gonna touch more on just why I don't like her in this movie when we get to her scenes. Yeah. But why don't we go ahead and start with a recap? Absolutely.
So we begin with this is something new that we haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, the start and the end and the intermission are very uneventful.
Yes, it's just a title card that says Overture for a really long time.
Yeah. So the reason they did that was because the version that we're watching, which was on Disney Plus, by the way, that version is, they filmed two versions at the same time. One was widescreen and one was 35 millimeter. Mm-hmm. And for the widescreen one, they were using this process to like convert it to 70 millimeter film. And not every theater was going to be able to show that kind of film. So that's why they filmed two different versions at the exact same time. So there's actually two different cuts of the movie with like slightly different shots.
Yeah.
This version that we're watching was the original release, and it was what's called a Roadshow Release, where basically, because the movie really does resemble the stage musical so much, they would screen it they would screen it in theaters as though you were going to watch a live musical.
Yeah.
So they would do like 2 screenings a day. You had to get your tickets in advance. You had reserved seating.
Okay.
They did have an actual intermission, mm-hmm. That's longer than the one that's on Disney Plus. But otherwise, that's why they do it that way.
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
Yeah. I mean, and then you're just like, you're focusing on the music at the beginning.
Yeah.
It says, I didn't look into this because I figured that you would, what Todd AO is?
That's that filming process
where
they,
okay.
I want to say, and I don't know I've never filmed anything, so I don't really know the intricacies of all of this, but that was like the conversion to widescreen process they were using.
It's so funny how many of these musicals, how many like new different technologies were coming out at this time.
Yeah. The remastering on it, by the way, I think is really, really good. The colors are super vibrant.
Yeah.
Really nice. But yeah, Curly comes in, riding his horse Blue, singing "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," mm-hmm. which is a classic.
And there's this shot, and they do this a lot in this movie, like these kind of moving shots. I don't know if they were done on like a crane or something, but like the camera coming through the stalks of corn and stuff.
Yeah.
Which was a cool cinematic feature. But he arrives at the house and continues singing his song to Aunt Eller.
Yeah, Aunt Eller is the aunt of Laurie Williams, who is the primary love interest, our lead female, played by Shirley Jones.
In her introductory role.
This was her first movie.
Uh-huh.
She has a really interesting backstory. By the way, Shirley Jones, I think, she hasn't, she's still alive, but she hasn't been active in the industry in a long time.
If you don't know,
I remember her from The Partridge Family.
Yeah, most people would know her from
which
The
I saw on
Family.
Nick at Night, probably.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, she's the mom on The Partridge Family. And this was her first film role. One thing that's really notable about her stage career is she was the only actress to ever actually go under contract with Rogers and Hammerstein.
Interesting.
She went to an open casting call with, I can't remember his name, but he was the casting director for a lot of their productions.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so impressed with her at that audition that he ran across the street to get Oscar Hammerstein, who was in orchestra rehearsals.
Uh-huh.
Or do I have it backwards? Is he lyrics or music?
I think Rogers is music.
Okay, so he ran across the street to get the music one.
Yeah.
And then that one called the other one at his home and was like, you have to get down here.
Yeah.
And yeah, they loved her so much that they signed a contract to have her act exclusively in their productions.
Interesting. What other, do you know what other ones she did?
Well, I know that it might take the rest of the podcast, but before this is over, I am going to remember what it is.
Okay.
Anyways, so Shirley Jones plays Laurie. She comes outside, and her first line to Curly is pretty funny. Like, oh, I thought you were somebody.
She's very, she does the hard to get thing, and they're both kind of doing it to each other,
Yeah.
And who else is a big flirt? Ann
Eller. Yeah.
She says
She's funny.
She says that she'd marry Curly. And
who wouldn't?
As would I.
He is. That's one of the reasons I really liked. Another one of the reasons I really liked this. Like, Curly's super cute, and the music's really good.
Yes.
Yeah, Curly is very handsome. So yeah, they're doing that play bickering thing with each other, and I think she says, or the whole reason he's there is to maybe ask her to go to the box social, maybe not, just feeling it out. But that's the big thing that's going on. That's what this whole movie centers around.
Most of the movie is one day where everyone's getting ready for this big social.
Mm-hmm. The box social.
Uh-huh.
So she asked him, well, even if I said yes, how would you get us there? Because it's quite a ways away.
Yeah.
And that's when they sing one of my other favorite songs, The Surrey with the Fringe on Top.
Mm-hmm.
Another fun fact about Shirley Jones is for the premiere of this movie, she went with her parents.
Oh.
She was 21, and they arrived in a Surrey with white fringe on top.
Cute.
I know.
So he's just telling her all about how fancy and lovely his carriage is that he's going to bring her to the social in.
Yeah, but then I don't know, it's like she doesn't want him to know that she's interested.
Right.
So she doubles down on being repulsed by him.
Right.
And she provokes him, or she gets him to a point where he's like, I just made it up. Never mind.
Yeah, I was joking.
There is no Surrey.
There's no Surrey. I was joking about it.
Yeah. Like, it was a cruel joke that I played on you. And then she, flips out. And anyways, they just go back and forth over this Surrey issue for a long time.
But it turns out that it is real.
Yeah, he does have it.
Right.
It's so dumb. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
And all the while, Judd Fry shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Played by... Oh, yeah. By the way, Curly, we didn't establish. Curly is played by Gordon McRae.
Okay.
And Judd Fry played by Rod Steiger.
So right before Judd shows up, we have a problematic line from Aunt Eller when she says...
well, I mean, there's so many of those.
Why don't you just grab her and kiss her when she gets to acting that way?
I mean, listen, if we're going to be here all day.
I know, we can't touch on all of those things. So, yes, we were introduced to Judd, who is this gruff farmhand.
He's greasy.
Yeah.
He's greasy, and he has it's not the fact that he has an accent that I find weird. It's that his accent is so unidentifiable. Mm-hmm. And, like, they don't talk about his past at all. It just, It doesn't make any sense. It seems really out of place.
Yeah. So, basically, Laurie has already committed to going to the social.
Why?
With
I don't
Judd.
know.
Yeah.
Because, he's unpleasant.
I don't see that there's a choice here, you know?
Right. There's no question.
Yes.
You say yes to Curly.
Yes. Curly is handsome and sweet, and Judd is...
mysterious in a bad way.
And violent.
And greasy.
And addicted to pornography.
Yeah, and he probably smells bad. Because he lives in that smokehouse.
He does look like he smells bad. And
you know he doesn't bathe.
No. So, basically, they end this interaction with Laurie's going with Judd, and
Curly's going to
bring
Aunt Eller.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because he is a dream.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Rose brings Grandpa to the Christmas dance.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, this is somehow cuter.
Oh, not Rose.
Yeah, we know who you're talking about. That one. that other movie we talked about.
Yes.
Okay, so Laurie goes inside to, like, freshen up or something, and Judd is spying on her from outside.
Yeah, like
outside her bedroom
peeping.
window.
Yes.
And she can, like, tell that someone's watching her, but when she turns around, he's gone. But she trusts her gut.
Yes.
Smart. Mm-hmm. And she goes outside to investigate and sees Judd there. And I guess he just, like, sort of gets her to really commit to going to the dance with him.
She's, like, testing the waters of, like, if she can actually pull out of this. And turns out that she can't.
Like, it looks like she's about to tell him.
Yeah.
She's canceling, but yeah, he intimidates her.
Which he does
easily.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Aunt Eller, she's taken off to go down to the train station, and that's when Will Parker is, he's coming in on the train. He's returning from, like, I guess he was doing, like, a rodeo kind of stint at the fair. He was in
Kansas City, right?
Yeah, he was in Kansas City, and he was doing some sort of demonstration, like lasso something or other, or bull riding, where he won a $50 cash prize. And he needs this money to marry Addo Annie.
Right. But instead, he brought presents.
Yeah, he's not the brightest guy.
And he brought presents for other people. He brought Aunt Eller some paper lanterns.
He's extremely well-intentioned.
Yes. But
he's bad at managing his finances.
Yes.
And that's why her dad has said, you can't marry this man until he has at least $50. Right. And the first thing he does with his $50 is spend it on gifts for her, you know.
Right.
But, yeah.
But the dad didn't say $50 or its equivalent in gifts.
Well, okay, sure. But, like, I don't know. You're taking the dad's side a little
No. I'm just explaining. I'm not on his side.
Okay.
But he also brought back this, like, I don't know, this, like,
it's
peep show peep show kaleidoscope thing.
Don't you remember Viewfinders?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically one of those.
Right, with nudie pictures in it.
Well, that's what mine had. What was in yours? What slides did you get? Mm-hmm. I got the Hustler package.
Jugs with 2 Gs.
My first Hustler. No, that's a lie. I remember having Disney ones. But anyways, the thing about these spyglasses is, and I don't know if this was actually common, but there is a hidden knife inside the spyglass that Will doesn't seem to be aware of. Yeah. And it doesn't come up in this scene, even though they're all passing it around. But yeah, the spyglass is very relevant later on in the movie. Yeah. It's hinted at, like, one more time before the big climactic spyglass attack. Yeah. But so in this scene where he's showing off all of his wares, he's singing Kansas City about how modern the town is. Like, they've got skyscrapers 7 stories high.
Yeah, he's like bragging about, he's coming back with all these stories of the big city, and it's just, it's exaggeration.
Well, but I love the lyrics. Like, they've gone about as far as they can go. That's pretty funny. And they do a dance number.
Yeah, it's a big dance.
Yeah, you were alarmed by how long the movie was, and I wanted to tell you, like, well, but it's because
it's all numbers.
Dance numbers.
Yeah,
and I love that. It's been a long time since we had a movie that had good dance numbers in it.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not as good as, I don't know, say White Christmas,
right?
But they're fun.
And it seemed, and the dance style was a little more like experimental than I thought it would be. A lot of like tableaus and holding poses and that kind of thing.
Well, this is kind of interesting now that you mentioned that. Someone considered for the role of Will Parker, it went to Gene Norman, but Bob Fosse was considered for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did he ever do any
Bob Fosse
acting?
Yeah, he did. I couldn't tell you his filmography, but he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he did dancing.
Right.
If the role called for a dancer.
Right.
Like the dream sequence dancers, they're all Broadway dancers.
I didn't look at this when I was looking at the Broadway show. If the dream dance on Broadway was actually if they were replaced in that fantasy sequence.
I think so. And I think it probably works a little bit better on Broadway because there's no close-ups.
Right.
I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but we should probably
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Another thing that Will talking about that I didn't quite understand about like this like round padded woman in this song.
Oh, okay, so those lyrics were changed as well.
Okay.
And that's like one of the only examples where lyrics were changed, and it was basically just censored a little bit for movie audiences.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to say is that they're at a burlesque show.
Uh-huh.
And this woman is extra curvy.
Yeah.
And she's so like
voluptuous.
Yes, she's so voluptuous that surely she must be wearing like padded hips and a padded bust, but then she takes off all of her clothes.
And it's all real.
And yes, exactly.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that's what's going on there.
So
remember Lady Gaga's padded hips at the Golden Globes?
No.
They were so big that she like knocked Leonardo DiCaprio when she was going up to the stage to accept her award.
I remember the look that he gave her.
It's one of my favorite moments in pop culture history.
Was that when she won the Golden Globe, right? That's when she won it, yeah.
And I think it was like for American Horror Story or something.
Yes.
And she like cried.
Yes.
I mean, I shouldn't make fun of her for being excited about a Golden Globe. Like, that's a great achievement. Or is it?
Father, Son, and House of
Because it looks like they might be buying those.
So we have another. So the actress who plays Aunt Eller was 65 years old at the time, and she can move. She's dancing.
Yeah, I don't think. Wait, the actress was 65. Yeah, that's impressive.
She was born in 1890.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, because this was 55, right?
I know, but it's just so weird to think about how not that long ago people just knew people born in the 1800s.
Right.
There were people from the 1800s just walking around every day.
That in 1955, someone that isn't even that old, at 65, was born in 1890.
Crazy.
Yeah. Weird,
man. Time is weird.
Uh-huh. There's some soft shoe that happens here.
Yeah. There's those two creepy girls.
Yes.
That are always matching and holding hands like the Shining twins.
Yeah. And I think that, like, I don't know, these, like, little sailor dresses are supposed to, like, signify youth. There's, like...
They look quite modern.
Yes.
I think this is 1907.
Yeah.
And that haircut, I was surprised to see.
Oh yeah, the short-haired one.
I know.
I don't know if it's because they were supposed to be like younger or something.
It was a bit, yeah. That seemed crazy to me.
But yeah.
I wonder if that's what's it called, an anachronism.
Mm-hmm. The hair, I think,
get
probably
the timing
was.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the dresses, I think I remember like when I was in like Music Man and stuff, which I think took place in like 1911 or something like that. I remember.
Which Shirley Jones is also in.
Oh,
Isn't she?
Is she in? Oh, is she Marion in the movie?
I haven't seen it.
It's been forever, so I don't remember.
She's in Carousel.
But
That's one.
But I remember that the kids' costumes when I was in that did have it was like the drop waist sailor thing that's happening here with these girls.
All I know is that Samantha, the American Girl doll, wore a very similar dress.
Uh-huh.
And she was like 1910 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered one, Carousel. She's in that one, but there's more.
Yes. I mean, there must be if she had a contract. So yeah, they do this whole like soft shoe number.
Yeah. Let's jump ahead.
Yeah. Will and the girls jump onto the train. They like jump off to the train into these guys' arms, and then he like jumps onto his horse from the train.
Yeah,
cool.
That was actually a famous stunt actor who did a lot of like riding and rodeo stuff. His name was Ben Jones.
Cool.
Yeah. He was a real cowboy.
And so now Laurie is skinny dipping.
She's bathing.
Uh-huh.
When they call him Ali Hakim.
Mm-hmm.
He's a peddler.
A Persian
He's
peddler?
supposed to be Persian. It's not the best casting.
Yeah.
They didn't put him in brown face. So that's that. Yeah, but that's another it's an unfortunate casting call.
Yeah.
But he is riding by in his fancy goods wagon with Ado Annie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we talked about how Gloria Graham is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, Ado Annie is, I wouldn't say complicated, but she's in a little love triangle, essentially.
Yeah.
With Ali.
She doesn't want to have to choose. She wants it all,
Right. You're right. It's not even really a love triangle. It's more just like, there's 2 now. It could be 3 tomorrow. It could be,
She can't say no.
She is having fun. And on that note, get it,
right.
Girl. Good for you.
Yeah.
And it's not really, there's not as much judgment from the movie. Like, I don't get the message of
you don't see, it doesn't make her seem...
There's no moral, story with Ado Annie. Like, she doesn't get in trouble. Terrible things befall her because she slept with too many guys.
Right. And I mean, at the end, Will sees her. Well, we'll get there.
It all works out essentially. Yeah. Like there is no moral message. But she's still kissing people. Then everything's fine. Right. So in that sense, the movie is kind of. I mean, it is a song about a girl saying, "I can't say no," but they don't treat it as purely a negative thing. It's more just like, listen, you got to pick one.
Right.
Like you can't do this forever.
So to provide some context, basically. Ado Annie has a history with Will, who's just come back. But in the meantime, she's struck up this sort of relationship with this peddler, Ali.
Yes, exactly. And you can tell that he is just having a good time. He's definitely not interested in committing to her in any way. But at the time, she's not really either.
Right.
It's only pressures from her dad. And
right.
I mean, there are still, it's 1907. There's still some societal pressure there.
Right. I mean, the dad would be okay with it as long as she was engaged to whoever.
Right, like as long as the guy has money, he doesn't really seem to care.
Right.
He just wants her provided for. But she is, all that aside, she is presented as a very ditzy character.
Right.
So, complicated feelings about her. The current stage production of Oklahoma, it's one of my favorite cast recordings. They're on tour and they're coming to Nashville soon, and I cannot wait to see them.
Let's go.
Yeah, we should. Allie Stroker plays Ado Annie on stage, and her interpretation of this character is amazing. And she just like brings a lot more agency to the character, I think. The whole production, like they maintain the entire story and the script and everything. It's just the way they do it, it makes everything a bit more modern.
Yeah.
And a bit more serious. You know?
Yeah.
It's not quite as silly.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of a shock in the movie because of the campiness of certain parts. When there are like those really like dark, serious moments, it's a little bit of a shock to the system, you know?
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's like a serious, some of the story is very serious, but there's still like this, I don't know, we're still at a point in time where movie musicals were much more, I think, about production.
Right.
Than they were about necessarily the story.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like, it was more about putting on a show rather than telling a story. But if you did tell a good story at the same time, great.
Yeah. And this is another one when I was doing research about the stage show. I feel like we've seen this claim in a bunch of these. But it was like, Oklahoma was revolutionary because the songs were led by the story and, that kind of thing. It's like, I don't know. A lot of musicals seem to make that claim around this time.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that basically that is just saying that this was the time in history when that kind of shift was happening in general.
Or I think it's also possible, because remember how last time we were talking about how with Meet Me in St. Louis, that year at the Academy Awards, there were like 14 nominees for Best Song or something.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that, like, all of these musicals where the plot does move forward in the songs, like, maybe there's a reason why those are the ones that we still talk about and watch today.
Those are the ones that rose to the top.
It could be that the vast majority of them were trash.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And more about spectacle and that kind of thing than story.
Can I just say one very brief rant?
Okay.
It's about Marvel, but it's relevant. Okay, so they recently did a show called Hawkeye, and it's about the lamest Avenger. His name is Hawkeye. All he does is shoot arrows. He's so boring. I can't stand him.
Is he the one that's Jeremy Renner?
Ugh, yes.
Yeah.
So it's like even worse. He's played by Jeremy Renner. Okay, so they got me to watch the show because in the promotions, they show an Avengers musical. Like, Hawkeye, the character, is in New York, and he takes his family to see the Avengers musical. It's called, like, Rogers the Musical. Yeah. For Steve Rogers. And I was like, oh my God, worlds collide. I have to watch this. The song that they do is so bad. And it's like, you can tell that it's supposed to be bad, but it's so bad that it's not even funny bad. It's just really, really bad. Right. And it was such a huge disappointment. That's basically it.
I'm sorry.
They had the guy from Rent, though, in it. Roger. So it's like, there are lots of little in-jokes. Right. But that made it even more disappointing. Right. It just... It made me... Yeah.
They're trying to play to a theater audience, but aren't.
It's just there was so much potential for it to be something I was going to like.
Right. Musicals and Marvel.
I didn't like it. Do better.
Musicals and Marvel uniting.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So, moving along, Ollie and
Annie.
Ado Annie. They were on their way to Aunt Eller's because he was going to peddle some of his wares. Yeah, his fancy goods.
Undergarments.
He somehow convinces Laurie to purchase something called the Elixir of Egypt. Yes. And that's going to help her figure out what it is that she really wants in life.
And it's just some sort of smelling salts or something, but obviously there's some sort of psychedelic quality to whatever these are.
I figured it was like, I don't know. Did she sniff it or drink it?
I think she sniffed it.
I always thought it was opium.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, So, but she does that later.
Mm-hmm. He gives Aunt Eller a garter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's kind of, I don't know, he's kind of, is this like a snake oil kind of a situation? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're trying to portray him as kind of like a, I don't know. There are some uncomfortable stereotypes, but I'll be honest, like, I'm not even sure, like, who they're trying to stereotype other than just, like, Middle East foreigner, I think, is what they're going for.
Yes, absolutely.
Even though, like, his accent is, it's another confusing accent.
Yeah.
Like, Persia was, I don't know.
And, but also, like, Annie is, like, very impressed with him being a peddler. I don't know. He seems to have
right.
Like,
there's no really, they don't really cast any judgment on him being a peddler.
No.
But it's then again, Laurie does a little bit. She's like, he can't be trusted.
Right, but he does seem to have like the most money of any of them.
Oh yeah, no, he does seem pretty wealthy. Yeah. That's true.
So to backtrack a little bit, we kind of skipped over Annie singing I Can't Say
Yeah,
No.
because we talked about Gloria a lot earlier, but yeah, so my whole issue with this number, like, Gloria was not a singer.
Yes.
And in this song, it's clear that they're not really going for
they're leaning
very good vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
They're leaning into her being a bad singer.
Exactly.
Is that something that hasn't been... was that something that happened in later productions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I was saying, like, Ali Stroker, she's very, like, her vocals are incredible.
Oh, okay.
It's extremely strong. And that's, one of the reasons why I just didn't understand, like, why were they so adamant about casting this person?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have any musical talent.
Right.
And there's a rumor that even for that song where her voice isn't supposed to be good, the character's voice isn't, because like you said, they're leaning into it.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that they had to, like, piecemeal, like, take word for word out of different recordings because she couldn't sing it straight through in any acceptable way.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it's just like her face isn't animated in it because it's, like, paralyzed from all the surgery that she's had.
Right.
Her singing is bad, so she really just stands there, and there's one point where, like, she's not making eye contact with anybody, and she just looks a little dead.
Yeah.
I find this song really unfortunate. Like, I used to think Russell Crowe had the record for, like, worst stage to film portrayal, but I gotta give it to Gloria.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
It was also rumored that she was kind of a pain to have on set.
Yeah, but her estate will tell you that it was the other actors that were mean to her because she wasn't very good.
Oh.
Like, well, maybe.
What I read was that she was like, that she was like attempting to like steal scenes and like overact, above people, and like it was annoying to basically everyone else in the production.
Yeah. She wasn't very popular.
Yeah.
We know that much.
Poor Gloria.
Okay, so where I think you were saying you were just about to get to Will arrives.
Yeah. Will comes back. He has presents, and he's trying to basically make up for lost time and woo back Annie. And this is when they do a little Can't Say No reprise.
Right, yeah. And then the caravan of people on their way to the Skidmores shows up.
Yes, everyone's showing up to, like, get ready for the...
Well, it's like they live a little further out, so this is like a rest stop, basically, because it takes them a while to, get to wherever it is the Skidmores live.
Totally, yeah. So, yeah, they're kind of like, they make a stop to basically, like, freshen up before they go to the social. Mm-hmm. And the girls are getting ready inside.
And Curly has arrived with the caravan.
Yes.
With Gertie.
And she has a laugh.
She has a laugh. It's a lot.
Yes.
It's very obnoxious, and you can't not hear it.
Yes.
It's very loud.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do a Gertie?
I don't even remember what it sounds like. It's like...
So, yes. Anyways, after Curly and Gertie arrive, there's like an exchange of words, I think, briefly between Laurie and Gertie. And then Laurie heads inside. She overhears all the other girls talking about how Curly showed up with Gertie and scandalous. And
so now, I mean, it's established that she is trying to convince herself, or I don't know, she's playing hard to get, and this song's all about how she doesn't need Curly.
Well, yeah, because there's plenty of fish in the sea, and she doesn't cry over old boyfriends.
Yeah, so this song is called Many a New Day. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's with her and the girls' chorus.
Yes.
And there's a little bit of ballet in the number. And then outside we have Annie, who is breaking the news to Allie that she's going to marry Will Parker. He's fine with it. And that's when Annie's pa just like comes out of nowhere, like from the middle of the cornfield, shooting his gun.
Yes.
He talks to Will, talks to her, begrudgingly agrees to let them get married until he or she mentions that the $50 went to the gifts.
Right.
So now Annie's only concern is going to tell Allie, like, maybe we can get married.
Right.
She's like, fine, I got another one.
Right. I mean, and she wanted Allie to be upset about her wanting Will, but he wasn't. So, her dad thinks that his, like, sweet talk is a proposal or something, and Allie is, like, didn't intend it to be that way, right?
Right, yeah. Allie is more or less, like, strong-armed into accepting the arrangement. So then, back at the house, Laurie goes outside to say hi to Gertie and Curly. They're in the peach orchard. When Gertie, like, she starts in with that terrible laugh.
Yes.
And Laurie just, like, starts throwing swings.
Yeah. It comes to blows pretty
throwing
quickly.
Punches.
Yes.
Yeah. Swinging punches, throwing swings. She cannot stand her, so she just starts beating her up.
Yes.
Aunt Eller splits them up, and then Gertie just like saunters off talking about her big hamper.
Yes, she leaves in a huff.
I've got the biggest hamper.
And now Curly is again being inquisitive about who's going to take Laurie to the social.
It's just more, go with me. No, I can't. I'm going with Judd.
It's more back and forth.
Sing, people will say we're in love.
Which is
my
really
favorite.
cute. Yes.
Yeah. And you know, that song is where it's, again, more just saying the exact opposite of what they actually want.
Right. If we do this, we can't do these things. That's all the things they want to do that they're saying that they can't do because people will say they're in love. The whole song is basically the lady doth protest too much.
It's so romantic. So, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He tries to get her to go one more time. And then she says, no, I think for the last time, I'm going with Judd. And he's like, fine, I'm going to go down to the smokehouse and figure it out. What is it about this Judd that's, you know, so good?
Yes.
Anyway.
So...
And the smokehouse is on their property. I guess Judd works for Aunt Eller, I guess. Yeah.
So he has, like, more, like, nudie pictures on his wall. He says about that, because I think Curly comments on that. And
it's weird.
He says, that ain't nothing to what I could show you.
Yeah, it's like, listen, there's nothing wrong with pornography. I mean, most of the sometimes in private, whatever. Just don't put it on your wall.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird thing to do.
Right. Unless you're, like, I don't know, 18 and it's your first, I don't know, whatever.
Even still, like...
it's gross.
Where is your mother?
Yes.
Gross. I'm surprised Aunt Eller let him get away with that.
And it seemed...
Though Aunt Eller was kind of into it at the train station.
Oh, yeah. She was very amused by the by the Peep Show kaleidoscope.
I like that Aunt Eller. She's funny.
Uh-huh. And it seems like they're kind of like being fake nice with each other until it kind of reaches a boiling point.
Well, he just like Curly. This is kind of a weird moment. Curly, it's like he escalates the joke way too fast.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's looking at a rope and then he's like,
you can hang yourself with this rope.
You know what you could do with this? Kill yourself.
Right.
But he presents it in this way of like, you know what? Your funeral is going to be amazing. Everyone is going to be there. It's going to have everyone. It's going to have the best flowers.
Yes.
All the ladies are going to be crying over you.
And this song is called
Poor Judd is Dead.
Dade.
And he even gets Judd to start fantasizing about his... I mean, it's almost... it reminds me of Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. Yeah, it was Tom Sawyer, not Huckleberry Finn. But... yeah, darker and more sinister.
The self-indulgence of wanting to see your own funeral.
Right. Right. But I don't know. Is it also trying to suggest that, like, Judd is so dumb that he doesn't, like, understand exactly what Curly is suggesting?
Kind of. I think so. I mean, like, I feel like by the end of this exchange, it's clear that, I mean, he pulls a gun on him. I think I think by the end he understands what Curly's been doing this whole time, you know.
Yeah.
But
there's the train.
There's that train. Oh,
I love that train.
Also, like, it's funny.
Will Parker's coming. Will Parker's back from the fair.
He's brought me some pornography
from Kansas City.
It is funny to me that, like, all of the, like, a lot of these songs are, like, intentionally misspelled in the names of them.
What's an example?
Poor Judd, like, when I looked at the song list, Poor Judd is Dead is spelled P-O-R-E. Judd is...
Is it really?
Dade, D-A-I-D. Yeah.
I've never noticed that.
And then I'm Just a Girl Who Can't Say No is C-A-I-N-T.
Oh, wow, yeah. I'm looking at it. I've never, ever noticed that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
But, you know, well, this is... I don't know if I should get into this. We'll cut it if it's too much. But... I've thought about this once before, about how spelling has evolved, you know, throughout our culture.
Yeah.
And how, I'm not saying that spelling is elitist. It's not. I think it's, like, good to know how to spell words.
Right.
But I guess, like, back in the day, as long as you could just convey what you were trying to communicate, like, it didn't really matter.
Totally.
Right? Like, it didn't matter how the word was spelled.
Right.
And I think something else that's interesting about linguistics, and I don't know if this is true, but I think it is. I heard that the reason why some of our words have fewer vowels than the British version, like color, you know, for example, they do an OU, we do OR.
Yeah.
Is because in the early days of printing, it would cost that much more to have an extra vowel in there or any extra letter.
So they just
they took out the redundant ones.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I don't know. You could have done that with a lot of words. In the English, like in American English, there's a lot of redundancy.
And there's a similar issue. You know how, like, things are called ye old blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So back when, like, printing was just starting, there was a Y-looking symbol that was pronounced like TH to, like, save printing.
Oh, okay.
Save money on printing.
So it's not ye.
It would have been, back then, it would have been pronounced the, like the.
I never knew that. Mm-hmm. Oh, it changes everything about Shakespeare.
I know. I mean, I guess not in the context of ye as, like, you.
Right.
But
anyways.
Ye as in the, but.
Anyway.
So they're, like, this is kind of escalating until Judd says, he kind of picks up on it and he says, maybe you go first.
Right. Yeah. Maybe, because, Curly says, I hope I get to see your amazing funeral.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll go first. And Judd fires his gun in the air in some sort of, like, act of intimidation. So all of the caravan people that have showed up and Aunt Ella run down to find out what's going on.
Yeah, he shoots his gun too, right? At the wall.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But Judd started it.
Yes, exactly.
And
they tell Aunt Eller that they were like doing target practice at the knotholes in the wall.
yeah. So they split up. But as Curly is leaving, I think Judd yells out, and probably in a way to make sure that Laurie can hear too, that if Laurie changes her mind, they're all going to be in trouble or something.
Right. It's a threat.
About going to the dance.
Right. So yeah, it's starting to become clear that like this isn't just like a fun
right.
Her thing with Judd isn't just like a fun love triangle. Like this is actually...
he's like obsessed with her.
Right.
Like in a scary stalker kind of way.
Right. And
so,
it's obvious that
Allie Hackham, I always want to say Hakeem, but I guess it's Hackham. Or is that just like how they say it?
If it's like if they're like saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allie shows up to peddle some more of his fancy
again.
wares. Because he's got pin-ups and postcards with naked ladies on them, like you get at Las Vegas or wherever.
Yeah, he's there to sell more
yeah.
more porn to Judd, who obviously needs more porn.
But Judd is only interested in two things: a real woman and also something very sharp that can kill Curly. He, in fact, mentions to Allie, have you heard of these spy glasses?
Yeah.
That have knives hidden in them so that when the guy is looking at the naked lady, you can flip it open and the blade falls down and stabs him in the throat.
Well, I don't understand.
It's a thing. It's a thing. That's what my viewfinder had.
I'm just like, why does this exist in the first place? I don't know.
I am also very curious if this actually existed.
Yeah.
It's very odd. It's like, I don't know, how big a deal were booby traps?
Right. So to speak, booby traps.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the joke.
But yeah, Judd said he's tired of just pictures. He wants the real thing.
Yeah. Okay. So Laurie is resting after everyone else has taken off. And she drinks her Elixir of Egypt, and we go into like a 20-minute dream sequence.
Yes.
And it's cool. I mean, it's a dance number.
Yeah. With some ballet, other
Again,
elements.
the dancing it's not the finest choreography I've ever seen, but I appreciate that it's in there. And they are good. I mean, it is good. It's good. It's just not my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, they're acting out this...
Well, essentially, like, to cut a long story short, she marries Curly.
Right. And
but then Judd kills him.
Judd shows... It's fantasy Laurie and Curly, but then real Judd shows up.
Yeah, so Dream Curly was played by dancer James Mitchell. Dream Laurie is Bambi Lynn. And then Rod Steiger, I think it's Steiger, but anyways, he did his own dream sequence, essentially because they couldn't find anybody that really had his build.
Yeah.
Like, looked as intimidating as him.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Also, again, I'm not sure about the decision to have different actors for the dream sequence. I mean, I get it that...
Like if that had been established on Broadway already, or if it was a decision that they made for the movie.
Well, but even if it is already on Broadway, it would be very hard for the audience to tell.
Right.
Especially if they're using such close lookalikes.
Yeah.
But in this, when you've got those close-ups... Now, I do wonder if they did the close-ups on purpose to show the film audience these actors. Like, maybe it was a way to include cameos from Broadway dancers.
And they did, they made that transition. It seemed clear what was happening. Like, Laurie sees, like, the dream version of herself and, like, goes to her, and then they, like, switch.
I know, but it's just kind of creepy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it reminds me of the movie Us.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I felt like it would have, like, if the movie were made today, they would probably use the same actor. If the actor at least was, that's also demanding,
These aren't, I mean, yeah.
I'm assuming that Shirley Jones and Gordon McRae didn't have that choreography training.
Right. They probably couldn't do like ballet and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Ballet is a little different from...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, in the dream sequence, she and Curly get married, and then Judd comes and like steals her away, basically.
Yeah.
Brings her to a trashy saloon with saloon girls.
Right. And then there's a tornado, and Judd kills Curly,
Yes.
and she wakes up from the dream sequence to find that real Judd is standing over her, just watching her sleep.
Yeah. Very creepy.
And says it's time to get ready.
And then that's the end of first act.
Intermission.
Yes.
So something kind of neat that they do during the current Broadway production and touring production is they serve cornbread and chili at intermission.
Cute.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like meant to be somewhat immersive theater. Mm-hmm. Which normally I'm not into. But I like cornbread and chili.
Yeah.
Yum. I wonder if it's any good. Where do they get it from?
I don't know.
Do they have like a person touring with them that makes the cornbread and chili?
Probably.
They have it in crock pots.
I'm sure that they wouldn't like leave it up to whatever
They have
venue.
it in crock pots that are like set out at the beginning, so the whole time you can smell it.
That sounds a little gross to me.
No, it's a crock pot. Do you understand how you make chili, right?
I know, but I feel like it would be weird to like
All day chili is the best chili.
be at a Broadway show and be smelling chili the whole time.
I don't know. If it's good chili, then I'd be like, yeah, give me some of that chili.
And then is everyone gassy, you know?
Maybe they don't put beans in it. There's a lot of controversy over whether or not chili should have beans in it.
Yeah.
People will tell you the original chili recipes had no beans.
I think it should have beans.
I enjoy beans in my chili.
Absolutely.
And President Barack Obama has a chili recipe, and his recipe includes beans. Because you know Michelle's not going to let him get away without having vegetables in there.
If it's good enough for the Obamas, it's good enough for me.
Absolutely. Nothing has ever been truer.
So after intermission and chili, everyone is basically...
They get to the they're leaving for the Skidmores.
Yes, everyone is taking their Surreys to the social.
They're taking the Surreys. But Judd is like purposefully going real slow, driving
Yes.
Laurie so he can hang back and like make a move on her.
Yes.
She's not into it, obviously.
He's like reminiscing about when she was nice to him when he was sick. And it's like, duh, you were sick.
I
But
know.
whatever.
Like she was just being a decent human being.
Right.
So he like tries to kiss her and she pushes him off, and then she takes the reins and tries to get the horses to speed up.
Yeah, she gets freaked out. I mean,
I kind of read that as like, I think she was just trying to catch up with the rest of the group so that she
Right.
wasn't like separate and alone with him.
yeah.
But the horses just like, you know, they get scared and they take off and they lose control until they run into a train and the horses get scared and
just
slow
stop,
down.
yeah.
So he hops down to comfort the horses, make sure they're okay.
And grab the reins that had fallen off of the...
Right.
Yeah.
And before he can get back on the carriage, she pushes him down and takes off.
Yes.
Good move.
Uh-huh.
Good move, Laurie.
Yes.
That Laurie,
She can
she's
take care of
smart.
herself.
I know. She's pretty cool. I like her.
Resourceful.
So at the box social,
They're
Let's
doing a
see.
dance.
Yeah.
They're doing a dance to the farmer and the cowman, which doesn't really have any story significance. It's just the song that they're singing at the social.
Sure. And I guess we sort of learn about how there's tension between...
The Cowboys and the farmer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I don't think is very well established up until this point.
No.
But it does... I think it's somewhat historically accurate that people were fighting over territory.
Right.
Essentially.
Whether you're going to use the land for cattle or farming.
Right. Yeah, so Skidmore is trying to get everybody... okay, so first a fight breaks out.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it between the Cowboys and the farmers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's a brawl, but Eller breaks it up with a gunshot into the air.
Did you notice that, like, while they're fighting, those creepy girls are, like, still singing?
No.
They're, like, still singing together in the background. They're the only ones.
The little sailor twins.
Yeah. But yeah, Aunt Eller breaks it up, and then she, like, holds them at gunpoint until they agree to start singing together again.
Sing the song.
And, yeah, Curly, I think, at this point, Curly's probably been there, but at this point, we see Curly, and he's noting that, you know, we're about to all be in a new state. And we gotta take care of each other when that happens. The farmers, the ranchers, and the merchants. He doesn't exclude Ollie. So Mr. Skidmore at that point comes out and announces it's time for the hamper auction.
Yes. And Curly remarks that Laurie's not there yet. He notices that she hasn't arrived. And then she does show up, smiling.
Yeah, conveniently. So the rules of the basket auction are thus: whoever made each basket is supposed to be a secret, and all the proceeds are going to finishing the construction of the school. And whoever made the basket goes out on a little picnic date with the winner of the basket.
You're familiar with these rules if you've ever watched Gilmore Girls.
Right? This is also parodied on Schmigadoon. Which I still have only seen a couple episodes of.
Yes, same.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like Cecily Strong. SNL. We love her.
And then I noticed that Will kind of confronts Allie about Annie and, like, grabs his ass to, like...
I didn't notice that. I did not notice that.
But anyway.
But essentially, yeah, Will asks what's going on. And I guess throughout this whole exchange, Allie is sort of conceiving a way to get himself out of the arrangement and get Will back with... Basically get Will to take Annie off of his hands.
So basically he convinces Will that it was his idea to buy... for Allie to buy the Annie's gifts off of him to make that $50 back.
Right, and he's offering him, like, 2-3 times the actual, you know, value of the goods.
Right. Like, buys a corset for, like, way more, I mean, yeah, for, like, $13 or something, which would have been a crazy amount for that at the time.
Right, and during the exchange, he tries to sell Allie the spyglass. And I think that's when, I don't know, to me, that's when it's really clear that he honestly has no idea.
Right.
That there's a knife inside, but then Judd walks up, or no, or is that when Judd walks up and buys it? Or is that later?
Yes, Judd comes back and he has bought the porn kaleidoscope knife.
Right.
Which is what I called it for the duration of my notes at this point.
To be clear, it's not a kaleidoscope, but it looks like.
Right, it's not a kaleidoscope. It's just like a like you said, it's like a viewfinder. It uses the natural light from the room to illuminate the picture from behind.
Oh, is that how they work?
Isn't it? There's not like light in it.
I'm asking.
I thought you were saying I was being an asshole.
No. People think that all the time when I ask genuine questions. They think that I'm being a bitch. Like,
no, there's not like...
Oh, really, Alex?
Is that what they do?
No, I really meant that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's no light source from in it, and you're lighting it from behind from using the, like, whatever natural light is in...
I never tried to use it in a dark room, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Okay, so Judd is back, he bought the thing, and now we're back at the auction, and it's time for Annie's basket, right?
The last two.
Yeah.
Annie's and Laurie's, and Annie spills the beans. You know, it's very clear who the baskets belong to.
Right.
So you could have figured it out through process of elimination.
But Will is, again... really stupid and tries to spend the $50 he just got back.
It's a little unbelievable.
Yes.
A little bit. And then, Allie once again realizes he's got to step in. But also the dad is trying to, strong-arm into bidding.
I'm sure that he would rather that Annie was with Allie because he's got more money.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got a lot of money because he just gave all of that money.
Well, at this point, he spent $101.
Yes. To not marry Annie.
Yeah. A significant sum of money at the time.
Yeah, so basically...
right, because he bids $51. Yeah.
Will tries to spend his $50...
The entire $50.
...on getting her basket, but then Eller's like, she doesn't get this money, it goes to the schoolhouse. So Allie has to spend $51 to make sure that Will can keep his $50.
Right. And still spend it on Annie, but anyways.
Yes.
So now the only basket left is Laurie's, and there's a bunch of bidders, but Judd makes it clear that he's not going to back down.
Yeah.
And just when it looks like that he's going to win, Curly... So early in the auction, Curly walks away.
Right.
And it's not really clear what he's doing, and there's an indication that he's just, like, over it.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, what he's gone to do is retrieve his horse and the saddle.
Yes.
Because he needs to sell off of his belongings so he can have enough money to bid on Laurie's hamper.
Right. So Judd makes a bid of $6 and Curly sells his saddle for... It's obvious that everyone that's here wants Curly to win.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'll give you this for it, blah, blah, blah. So he sells the saddle for $10, and then Judd ups him again. And then Curly sells his horse for $25. So now the bid is up to $35, I guess.
All blue.
Yeah. And then Judd puts down his life savings.
Yeah, of $43.
Yes.
Which also goes to show you just how rich Allie is.
Yeah.
If that's Judd's life savings.
Yeah.
And Curly, I think at that point he sells his gun.
He sells his gun, yeah.
And that gets him up to $53, $10 over what Judd's got.
Judd doesn't have any more money.
And Ann Eller doesn't even do a going, gone. She says sold immediately.
Yes.
Judd is now big time mad.
Mm-hmm.
And right after the auction ends, he's like, hey, Curly, come over here. I want to show you something.
Yeah.
Which is the death spyglass.
Yes.
the booby trap.
The porn kaleidoscope knife.
But Ollie notices what's happening. Because he had spotted when Will, I guess, sells it to Judd. He sort of saw over Judd's shoulder and saw him, like, fiddling with it. So he kind of knew there was a secret knife in there, I think.
Yeah.
And he tells Aunt Eller, who then runs over and says, Curly, I need you over here.
Yes.
Shuts it down.
Uh-huh. She stops the scheme.
And everybody gets back to dancing.
Mm-hmm. And then Annie and Will run off to sing All or Nothing.
Right. So essentially he's telling her you can't have fun anymore in the sense of, like, you can't, like, sleep around.
Yeah. No more kissing other boys.
No running around on me. But also, like, girls are going to flirt with me because I'm, like, a cool rancher. And you just have to understand that.
Guess who shows up to dance with them?
Oh, right. Those girls.
Yes.
Those little shining twins.
I said, LOL.
They're always lurking.
I said, LOL, these dancing youths are back. Mm-hmm. And then
they're always there.
And then they kind of, like, fall into the pen in, like, a sexy way.
But also, I really like Annie's sort of retort back at him. She's like, you know what, that's fine. You stay out as late as you want. Just don't wait up for me.
Mm-hmm. So now Judd confronts Laurie. Laurie is alone for some reason, and Judd confronts her.
And why aren't women chaperoned more often? And he corners her.
And grabs her.
Yeah, and then she, I guess, fires him and tells him to keep away. And he just says,
he says you'll never get rid of me.
Right. And he accuses her of just being a snob, thinking that she's too good for him.
Right. Because he's the farmhand.
Classic nice guy stuff.
Yes.
Right. Ugh, so gross. But yeah, he does. He straight up threatens her. And then thankfully Will walks up and asks, he just walks up to ask, have you seen Annie? Because, she's run off with some dude again.
Yeah. She can't be tamed.
And she's crying and asks for Judd, or for Curly. Oof, not Judd.
Yeah.
Who happens to already be there.
Yes.
They finally kiss.
Yes.
And they have their moment.
She tells him that she's afraid for her life.
Yeah.
They kiss. And
honestly, she should be.
Yeah. They kiss, and then she's happy again.
Yeah. But it's it's too hot for him, and he has to push her away from him. And they have a rational conversation.
Yeah.
For the first time, which of course ends with their engagement.
Right. So he proposes. She says yes. They do a "People Will Say We're in Love" reprise, and they kind of change the words around. Let people say we're in love. Right. Which is cute.
Meanwhile, Annie is saying goodbye to Allie. They do this whole little thing about a Persian goodbye and an Oklahoma hello. Right. The takeaway from this scene for me is that she's parting ways for good with Allie, in the process having a very passionate kiss or two with him.
Yes.
Will actually walks up mid-kiss, and he doesn't freak out.
Yeah.
He's just is this it? That's the actual goodbye?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Yeah, he doesn't care, really, as long as he can have a Oklahoma hello.
Very modern.
Yes.
Very modern. Yeah. We cut to just a brief clip of Mr. Skidmore and Curly et al. They're out herding cattle, and Curly tells Skidmore that that's his last drive, essentially cattle drive, that he's going to settle down and become a farmer to support
switching
Laurie.
Sides. Yes.
Yeah. So then we cut to Curly and Laurie getting married at Aunt Eller's, and Judd lurking outside, being a creeper. And then we do Oklahoma.
Yeah, everyone's sending them off on their honeymoon, and they sing
such a good song.
Oklahoma.
It's hard, and I'm having a hard time not singing it right now.
Gertie shows back up and is now married to Allie.
But only because he was once again threatened with a shotgun.
Yes.
So the song that was cut from this movie, it's a scandal. It's an outrage. It's Allie and the men's chorus singing about how these days it's so easy for a woman to sort of pin you down because all it takes is her dad with a shotgun.
Oh, okay.
So, it's a fun song.
He's got a pattern.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's really fun.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. Oh, this is when I think it's I guess it's nightfall by now.
Yeah, and so
the time change is really abrupt, but basically the men decide they're going to do this thing. I think they call it a chivalry.
Yeah, so Laurie and Curly have gone up to a bedroom or something, and they decide, I don't know if it seems...
They're getting ready to, go on their honeymoon,
right,
essentially.
Right.
But, while they're up there, the men get together, and they, climb up the trellis, and I don't know if they're trying to spy or what, but they're basically trying to get their attention to come out.
They go up there and be whoa, I don't know, scare them.
They're, pranking them, and then the whole traditional aspect of it is now the couple has to come outside and stand on top of a haystack.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of these traditions.
And then they throw corn husk dolls to symbolize their future children. And then Judd walks up, and initially, because he's just being Judd, he lights another haystack on fire to distract everybody. And while they all run over to that haystack, he creeps behind the one that Laurie and Curly are on and lights that one on fire.
Right.
And to be clear, these haystacks are very tall.
Yes.
They're probably 10, 15 feet, off the ground.
So this is attempted murder.
Right, yeah. It's definitely attempted murder. They have no choice but to jump. Laurie jumps first. She's fine. And then
Curly jumps onto Judd.
Right. And it's clear that he's purposefully jumping onto Judd, but he's not necessarily trying to kill him.
No.
But Judd is holding a knife.
Judd's the one with the knife.
Yeah. Judd's holding a knife, and he falls on it.
Right.
Clean through the ribs. Kills him.
Yes. They go inside, and they're trying to figure out, like, if he's dead or not.
He did.
He did. But Laurie obviously is inconsolable, and Eller's comforting words to her are, you got to get used to all kinds of things happening to you.
Sometimes you got.
I love Aunt Eller.
Yeah, she's funny.
So they come in with the news that Judd is dead.
Yeah.
And Curly says he has to turn himself in, but the sheriff
pretty much the whole town is there.
Yeah.
Like all of the, justice officials and keepers of the peace, etc., are there. So Aunt Eller convinces them to just go ahead and do a trial right then and there so that Curly and Laurie can go on their honeymoon, without this hanging over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't even do like a real trial. They're pretty quickly. They're like, were there witnesses? Yes. Great. Self-defense.
Right. They come back with the verdict of not guilty. So Laurie and Curly are getting sent off to the train for their honeymoon.
That's basically it.
Yeah. This actually, not to make another Gilmore Girls reference, but this actually kind of reminded me of, the whole town is very obsessed with Laurie and Curly in the same way that Stars Hollow is obsessed with Rory. Sure. It's like other people got married and nobody seemed to care, but...
Well, this was it was a quaint time.
Uh-huh.
They weren't even a state yet. It was a territory. You're right. No one cared that Gertie got married.
No.
Didn't even know who she married.
Nobody cared that Annie and Will got together,
But I don't think anybody was asking for realism with this movie.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, Stars Hollow has a whole town of high school kids, and for some reason, Rory, who doesn't even go to school there, gets...
Do you want a show about the other ones? Listen, I'm not in a good place with Gilmore Girls right now.
Okay.
I think that show is bad.
It is.
It's bad.
I still put it on, though, to have something comforting in the background.
And yet you don't like Love Actually, which makes zero sense. Anyways. Okay, so...
So basically, and then there's a reprise, whatever.
Yeah. I thought we're done with the movie.
Yeah. Oh, What a Beautiful Morning happens again, basically.
It's over.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
They ride into the distance.
Okay, so did you think of any recasts for this one?
Not really, because I started to think about it, and it was like, I'm just gonna use all the same people that
I know. Honestly, I'm running out of inspiration.
Same
for recasts because there's only a handful of actors that we know of that seem capable of doing these roles. But I do have one recast that I feel extremely confident about.
Yes,
and it is Andrew Garfield for Curly.
Interesting.
He's having a moment right now.
Uh-huh.
He's proven himself to be pretty good in musicals.
Oh, from,
Tick, Tick, Boom,
yes.
which he won the Golden Globe for.
Right.
Even though we're not really sure how much merit the Golden Globes have right now.
Yes.
But he did win. And, I haven't watched the movie. I don't know how super interested I am in the movie. I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips, and he's definitely a good singer. Yeah, he's great. And
I just don't know if he's, dreamy enough for me.
He is.
Okay.
I think he is.
Is Jake Gyllenhaal too old? Because I feel like he'd be a good Curly, too.
How old is Jake Gyllenhaal? Because Andrew Garfield is 38.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal is 40 because he
looks older than Andrew Garfield though.
Yeah.
He just has one of those faces.
Yeah. Because I guess now he's probably 42 because he was 30 when he dated
Oh God.
When he dated Taylor Swift when she was 20.
Shut up. I don't want to get into
and
that.
And everyone knows she was born in 1989.
I don't want to get into that. Because you know what? I'm Team Gyllenhaal.
I don't care.
I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Same. I think he'd be a good Curly.
And I'm ambivalent at best about Taylor.
Yeah, I don't think, whatever. I don't care about whatever drama is happening there.
I don't care.
Yeah.
When I started thinking about Andrew Garfield, I thought, and I don't feel as strongly about this one, but I thought maybe Robert Pattinson for Judd, because he's also creepy and greasy. Mm-hmm. He's just like creepy, greasy in a handsome way.
But he doesn't really have the physically intimidating factor.
Hello, he's the new Batman.
Yeah.
I would say reserve your judgment until we see him as Batman. Yeah.
Okay. But I can also see someone being sinister and sinewy and skinny.
Did you see, I think it was called Devil All the Time or something. It was on Netflix. It's with him and Tom Holland.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Well, he can also do a Southern accent.
Yeah.
And I mean, he plays a deranged, kooky Southern pastor.
Yeah.
Not kooky is the wrong word. He's really willing to go out there.
Yeah.
I feel for whatever the role is. And he's willing to get campy. And I could just see him being that creepy kind of.
Yeah.
I could see it.
I can see it.
But Andrew Garfield is Curly. I guarantee it could work.
Okay.
I will invest in that project.
I believe you.
I have $200.
I have 201.
I have 202 bits. 2 bits.
What are bits?
I don't know, but somehow 2 bits translate to a quarter, and it's wait. 8 bits is a whole? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, 2 bits is... So 1 bit is 12.5 cents.
Anyway, I have a couple other interesting notes about casting.
Okay.
Another actress considered for the role of Laurie was Florence Henderson, another classic 70s TV mom, Carol Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of 70s TV, and also Stepsons, did you know David Cassidy, also star of The Partridge Family,
Yeah.
her real-life stepson.
Really?
Whom she later married. I'm kidding. She didn't.
I was about to ask, did she marry him?
No, she only married his dad.
An interesting note about... I did a little bit of research about the original production of the Broadway show, but one thing that I thought was interesting was the person who originated the Broadway role of Ado Annie was Celeste Holm.
Okay.
Who, have you seen All About Eve?
No. Okay. But when I worked at Blockbuster, this elderly man came in and asked for it, and I looked it up, and I was 18.
Right.
I looked it up. I hadn't heard of it, and I told him we didn't have it, and he was so mad. He's like, it's one of the best films of all time, and you're telling me you don't carry it? He was so mad. I was like, nah, dude, we don't have it. Anyways, go on.
So Celeste Holm was a supporting role in that movie, but gave a standout performance. She plays Karen Richards. That's just a little side note about that, but she's a great actress.
Who played Eve?
An actress named Anne Baxter.
Oh.
Okay, so I don't need to tell the whole story of All About Eve.
Okay, don't.
But it centers around Bette Davis, who's an aging star.
That's the name that okay, yeah.
And she takes under her wing this younger actress who's Eve, who played by Anne Baxter, and basically Eve is this sinister character who's coming for Bette Davis's career. And what's funny is that at the Oscars that year, Anne Baxter won the Oscar against Bette Davis, who was also nominated.
Ooh,
I know, drama.
Another actor that was considered for Curly, actually I've got a couple, James Dean.
Okay.
James Dean made it to a screen test, but he did not have the strongest vocals.
Yes.
And then Rod Steiger, Judd, remarked that he and Dean, I guess, like James Dean, became close friends, it sounds like. But he said that the issue with Dean's audition was that he relied too much on instinct. And that, like, when he had it, he was brilliant. But when he didn't, he couldn't really connect with the camera. And then another little story that comes from that relationship is reportedly, and I think Steiger said this himself, but reportedly James Dean gave Rod Steiger a copy of Death in the Afternoon by Hemingway.
Yeah.
And he had underlined every occurrence of the word death in the book. And then he gave it to Rod.
Yes.
No backstory. Just that was his personal gift to him. I wish I had more to offer you on that, but that's just a fun little anecdote.
Another little story about the making of this Broadway production, and the beginning of Rogers and Hammerstein's relationship, was that from what I read, like the period between the World Wars, Broadway would pretty much hire actors who could sing, but Rogers and Hammerstein's goal was to hire singers who could act.
Yeah, I think that's smart, actually. Yeah. I think that's the way you have to go.
Yeah, I think I agree as well.
Because, well, I don't want to diminish the work that it takes to be a credible actor, but I do think that it might be a little easier to train somebody to act than to sing, because there's gonna be people who just don't...
Are tone deaf.
Yeah, or just don't really have the... Singing, it does require some natural ability.
I think that singing definitely requires more of an innate ability.
I think, too, you can tell the actors that have a natural acting ability versus the ones that don't.
Yeah.
I have zero acting ability. I do not believe... I mean, maybe I could, but I don't think that I would be a standout in acting.
Go take a class at the Learning Annex.
You know what? Before COVID, you know what the last thing I did, actually? It was March 9th, 2020.
Oh, God.
The last thing I did before COVID was I went to an astronomy class, because Nashville, what is it? That's that private school.
Lipscomb?
No. High school. University school of Nashville. Uh-huh. They offer adult classes. On a variety of topics. And I was like, this sounds fun. I'm going to learn new things.
So had you just started the class?
This one was only one class. Oh, okay. But it was overcast for an astronomy class. So. Ugh. And that was the last thing
And you had like telescopes and stuff?
Yeah, we went to the observatory.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Dyer Observatory. It was awesome, except the sky was cloudy.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. I got a couple more actors.
First.
No.
Me first. Just to elaborate on what I was saying about ability coming first or whatever, it led to the original Broadway show not casting any names, just because they wanted to rely on talent rather than
I think
names.
that's so smart. And I mean, how do you even make a name until somebody does a great performance? Right.
And the Theater Guild at the time suggested that Shirley Temple play Laurie and Groucho Marx play Allie.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, but Rogers and Hammerstein were very much against this and decided to have no names in the show.
Yeah, so they took a different approach with the movie. They did get to maintain a lot of control over the movie. That's why there's no... bonus song for the Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to add any new music. They didn't want a different composer adding new music. Yeah. So they did maintain a lot of rights, which was great.
So they weren't nominated for Best Song for this
No.
Interesting.
No, because there was not an original for the movie.
Yeah.
But anyways, because of their heavy involvement, they were definitely involved in the casting. And I think it was Oscar Hammerstein. He was reportedly willing to make any accommodations he had to make to get Frank Sinatra cast as Curly.
Oh.
Which I cannot picture in my head at all.
No.
I cannot picture that.
No, he has to be like... I mean, I guess it's because Frank Sinatra is kind of known at this point as being like...
A crooner?
Crooner, debonair, like classy. Like you can't really see him as... I can't see him as like a... I
can't. I'm actually...
cowboy.
I'm pulling up a picture of him in 1955 right now because I guess the picture I have of Frank Sinatra is a much older one.
Right. It wasn't until like the 60s that he like...
But still, like looking at this picture of him and his fedora, I'm just like, I just don't see him as a Curly.
No.
I really don't. Did he do much acting anyway?
I think early on in his career he did, but...
and of course, singer first, actor second.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I'm glad that did not work out. The last name that I noted for Curly was Paul Newman, but it doesn't look like he made it very far in the process at all.
Yeah.
He was a new actor at the time, though.
Was it... So the actor who played Curly, what was his name again?
Gordon McRae.
Was that his voice?
Yes, it was.
And it was Shirley Jones's voice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're both great singers. And I feel like it was obvious that... To me, it seemed obvious that Curly was cast because of what a great singer he was, as well as being dreamy.
So dreamy. He is a great singer. His voice, what would you call that? Is that a baritone?
He's a tenor.
A tenor. It's really deep. It's not my favorite rendition of Curly, but I very much like it. I really, really do.
Yeah.
I like it better than there's
Hugh
one
Jackman.
that's on, I was gonna say there's one that's on Amazon Prime right now, Prime Video, and it's starring Hugh Jackman, and I love Hugh Jackman, I really do, but this does not do it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about campy, and there's just something about the particular accents that they do on that stage. They're just kind of embarrassing. You know what I mean?
Like stereotypical, like...
I mean, it's just like, yeah. I'm tempted to like try and mimic it, but I'm too embarrassed.
What is...
Like they should have been too embarrassed.
What is Hugh Jackman's nationality?
He's Australian.
Yeah.
Australians, I feel like, can normally do Southern accents, but I don't know. Australian is a hard accent to do too.
Right.
Speaking of Australian accents.
Are you talking about Nicole Kidman?
No. Have you, did you ever see In the Heart of the Sea? This also relates to Moby Dick.
No.
Okay, so it's a movie about the real life events that inspired the book Moby Dick.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's a guy that plays
Melville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say Nathaniel Hawthorne.
I mean, same period.
That plays Herman Melville, interviewing a guy that was on the boat that the whole thing is inspired from.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Chris Hemsworth plays the like captain of the ship, and he's trying to do this like a Boston accent, and it's the most terrible accent. I encourage everybody, go look up In the Heart of the Sea accents. It's mind-blowing.
But like an 18th century Boston accent would not have sounded like...
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense, and it sounds like they're trying to do like a Family Guy kind of like... like upper, not even
Ahab.
Boston, more like upper Maine, kind of area. It sounds like that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate because that movie would be really good, but for
Chris
just the
Hemsworth.
most ridiculous accents I've ever heard.
I mean, like I said, I was mentioning Nicole Kidman. She is not very good at covering up her accent.
Okay, I hear people say that all the time, And maybe I'm too mesmerized by her, but I don't hear it that often.
She's a great actress. I mean,
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. People said she was too stoic on The Undoing. I did not think so.
There was this girl that I follow on TikTok, and she was doing... This was when they had first announced that... what is Meeting the Ricardos? Is that what it's called?
Okay, listen, I watched it. It's not bad.
Yeah, I heard that. But she was doing her impression of what she thought Nicole Kidman would sound like as Lucille Ball.
I think we all expected it to be horrendous.
But she just goes, Ricky, no. it's like whispering.
It was weird casting. Yeah. But Nicole does a very good job. It's the writing that I just don't know if it's a good movie. But the acting is pretty good. Even Javier Bardem is pretty good. And I honestly thought that was more bizarre than casting Nicole as Lucy. I just felt like they picked or they just tried to brainstorm famous Spanish-speaking actors.
Yeah.
I did not get
and
that
I feel
for
like
Javier.
They were, I don't know, it seemed like...
But he's good too.
It seemed like with that movie, they were more searching for I don't know, they wanted prestige actors for I don't know.
I know. It's like Aaron Sorkin Pretense. Yeah. And I like Aaron Sorkin stuff, but this is... I roll.
But it's also when they cast Nicole Kidman as Grace Kelly when she was older...
Well, that was a bad movie too.
But at the time, Nicole Kidman was already 10 years older than Grace Kelly ever was.
Yeah, but she has porcelain skin.
Yes,
fine.
she's still beautiful.
And listen, Clive Owen wasn't any better in that as Hemingway.
Yeah.
The movie was a bad movie.
Yeah. One more thing. About the stage show, when they first had their first previews before it went to Broadway, it was called Away We Go with an exclamation point.
Yes, I saw that.
And
so indie.
And it didn't get the best reviews in its previews, but one thing that they did take away from it, and one thing they changed before it went to Broadway, was that they wrote a new song called Oklahoma, and then named the show Oklahoma. So, interesting there. So anyway, it ended up opening on Broadway to rave reviews, sold out. It won a special Pulitzer Prize, and Brooks Atkinson from the New York Times wrote that the show's opening number, "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," changed the history of musical theater.
It's a beautiful song.
He said, after a verse like that, sung to a buoyant melody, the banalities of the old musical stage became intolerable.
I'd also just like to point out, I think that the harmonies in all of the songs in this musical are mwah.
It's beautiful.
I mean, for some reason, I don't know, the harmonies stand out to me more in this musical than any other one.
Yeah. And it's widely thought that the show's creativity from Rogers and Hammerstein basically inspired their contemporaries enough to spark the golden age of American musical theater.
Are we not already in it, though?
I mean, it's...
People love being the first.
I know. It's everything that we research for this is
it's the best. It's groundbreaking.
it's like this was the first one to have songs that had story in them.
This is the highest grossing film of the spring quarter from 1950. What now?
How did it do at the box office?
It's hard to say. It took a lot of money to do this widescreen filming process.
Yeah.
In fact, the production company that started production on it was literally founded to do this widescreen filming.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Production.
So it took a lot for them.
It took a lot of money to upstart it, and I want to say I want to say the total cost was like 11 million, but at the time that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
It wound up doing okay in America, but they started with that Roadshow theater run,
right,
which did not bring in much because I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but another aspect to doing the Roadshow style.
Well, it can't be as wide of a release.
Exactly, it's only in like major cities, and it's more of a staggered release, like not. It's what we would call limited release today,
right?
Essentially. Mm-hmm. So I know that they eventually recouped everything, but I think it took them a little while, and also abroad it was pretty much a flop.
Yeah.
Which
is funny because
I know that was kind of surprising to me.
It seems like European countries and Britain or whatever are really obsessed with like the American West.
Well, and remember when we talked about Fiddler on the Roof, and we talked about how it was a surprise hit in Japan? Yeah. I mean, that came out, I guess probably 10 years later.
Yeah.
Ish than
15,
this movie.
Yeah.
Was it 70s?
I think it was like 71 or something, yeah.
So yeah, it came out later. But I guess when I realized that it doesn't really matter about the location or what language it's in, as long as the themes connect with the audience.
Totally.
For that reason, I sort of thought maybe Oklahoma would have done a little better.
Right.
But it did not.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, do you have anything else to add?
Just that the other Rogers and Hammerstein
that
musical
Shirley Jones?
that she was in, it wasn't these. I don't know if I made this clear. It's not all movies. Some of them are stage productions, but she was in South Pacific.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Gonna wash that land right now.
Carousel, South Pacific, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Only actress to go under contract with R&H.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize her career was like that prolific before Partridge Family.
I didn't either. I only ever knew her as the mom on Partridge Family.
Yeah.
So, good for her.
Yeah. I don't think you ever told me what your letter grade was. You were explaining about it.
Right. So, I don't really have a letter grade.
Okay.
I give it an OKL. AHOMA.
You have mixed feelings.
Oklahoma. Yow. I give it a yow.
You see its flaws, but also love it for what it means to you.
If I have to pick, I'll give it a B++.
Okay. So we pretty much agree.
An A-+. An A-+.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Do you hear that? Somebody's singing outside.
Yeah, yes, I do hear that.
Anyways.
Here in historic Wedgwood, Houston. Well, again, as always, thank you to We Own This Town.
As always. You can find us on Instagram at The Hills Are Alive Pod. And you can find Alex anywhere on TikTok.
I know. Yes, come find me on TikTok. Anyway, next time we're going into the 60s. And we'll see you there in your go-go boots.
I thought we were doing the Music Man.
I thought we decided on...
Or Music Man. Oh, we were going to do Barbara.
Yeah. Funny Girl. Babs.
I think we should do Funny Girl.